What's up?
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, we are good here. We might have
All
a
good.
little 3-year-old run in a couple minutes. He's homesick from
Hey,
school, but real life,
hey,
right?
it's life, you know. I think everything that we've all gone through over the last couple years, it's just how things are these days.
Yeah,
So,
right?
well, I
So,
appreciate you jumping in. Episode 186. So this is kind of exciting. We're getting close to episode 200, which just says something about the longevity of this show, and for us being able to tap into the ever growing honey badger nation, and there's so many amazing rock stars like yourself that just want to just add value and pour back into the community. And I know today is going to be no different. So I'll let you give a little background, a little introduction to everybody tuning in, and then we'll kind of dive into today's topic.
sure. I'm Megan Farrell. John, thank you so much for having me. Honored to be on this podcast or show and get to connect with more people. And I am in Northeast Florida. I've had my license for just over 9 years, and I was a kindergarten teacher in my former life. And I think that was a really smooth transition into real estate because I went from taking care of people's like most valuable possession, right, their babies, and now I help with the biggest investment. And it's holding hands through kindergarten is that first time really like parents let go of their baby, right?
Yeah.
And so it's holding a parent's hand and guiding them through those waters, navigating it with empathy and compassion. And it like literally goes right into real estate because we're dealing with people who are buying homes and where they're going to raise their kids, and it's a lot of money. And so slid right into that. I came from up north because I didn't want to shovel anymore and wasn't going to wait till retirement. So came down here, live in Palm Coast, Florida. And over the last 9 years, when I moved here, I had no sphere, and I knew one person and their friends were real estate agents. So there was no referral chances for me. And so I really had to build my business from the ground up, door knocking, cold calling, sitting in the top agents' offices, listening to them on the phone. So just like those basic tasks that you have to do when you're getting started, I think we forget about sometimes. And so I knew from the beginning I didn't want to work 24/7. I knew I wanted to be a mom. So I began building my team about 7 years ago, and I have done it just about every way you could do it wrong, right? And that's led me to kind of where we're at today. And 5 years ago, my husband, he got into the business with me, and he's a financial advisor as well. So also kind of flows into, navigating assistance with assets. And he and I, knew we wanted something more. We were trying to build a team under a traditional brokerage with the, corporate 6% corporate fee, 85-15 top split you're going to get. And, they offered marketing dollars, but no real value that was going to help take our business to the next level. So in 2019, we took a look at opening our own looked like, and also joining EXP. And I sat down with my broker. I think this is a really cool story. It's a unique story that I've not heard from any others, but I sat down with my broker. We were like 8.5 months pregnant with our first son. And just like, she's like, what are you doing? But she also knew I had outgrown where I was, and I couldn't, really like take it any further than I was there. And I said, hey, we're going to open our own. We'll go to this company called EXP. I don't know if you've heard of it. And she said, EXP, that's where you need to go. That has a great just the entire compensation plan. It's agent forward. She knew what I wanted to do and build a community while not being super liable for mistakes and that kind of a thing. So we'd made the jump to EXP 3 years ago and haven't looked back. The last 3 years have been a period of growth, both personally and professionally, for my husband and myself. And we've really, like, I feel like we're right now just on this uphill from putting in the work the last 2.5 to 3 years to get to where we are, and we're really growing our business. We now have ourselves and 6 others on our team right now, and then our office, we have a branch office here with EXP that has over 20 agents, and we're growing like 1 or 2 agents a week right now. It's crazy. So
That's so exciting.
yeah.
There was a couple things you said in there that I think are great lessons for us to be able to pull away and to think about. And it's knowing your broker where you were at. She knew who her agent was, and so made me reflect back to a gentleman in Michigan that I had the opportunity to work with for quite some time. And he's got 3 or 4 different brokerage locations, but he's real clear on who his person is, right? It's a person that comes in that's doing like 4 to 5 million to 10 million. He doesn't want anybody before that, and he doesn't want anybody above that. And the reason is that that's his value proposition. This is just what
Yeah.
the value he provides. So going to your broker and be like, hey, you've outgrown us. Hey, what's the next best thing for you? And then like, yes, go there. That's what you need. That's what's best for you. I think is a great lesson, because I see too many times, and especially like for you, even trying to build your team out, you learn, you try this in every which way, is when you try to cater to all styles of agents. And it's like, talking to people and they're like, hey, yeah, we want new agents. We want them to come in. And I'm like, well, okay, you understand they have problems, and do you want to build your business to solve their problems?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that just as you were saying that, I was thinking through all of those things. I was like, man, that's a really good lesson. Understand who your agents are, know what their problems are, and then know what it is and how you're going to help support and deliver to help them achieve what they're wanting to achieve in their business.
Well,
How
and it's been, I mean, just from that relationship, like I still respect her so much. Other than of course, when we ended up trying to leave, like the other broker came in and was like hammering, like, we're taking all your commission, you're not going to succeed. All of those like really negative experience. And to this day, I am polite, but don't really have a relationship with him. And her, I would bend over backwards for.
Sure.
And so it's just when you, I guess, behave in a way that supports, other agents, you never know where life's going to take you. And that relationship is so important. And even if it is, I'm sure she was disappointed, right? We were the top agents in her office leaving, but she chose what was right for us, or at least what we thought was right for us in that moment. And she showed support and love. And if things didn't work out with EXP, we would have been right back in that office. So I think like remembering the long game over that instant gratification, or instantly what's going to be perceived best for us. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think you ever want to, close doors, completely and burn bridges. And, there's been so many stories of people that have even been at EXP that leave and then come back. Right. And
yeah,
so definitely not even being able to burn that bridge.
sure.
So you kind of mentioned, how much of a trajectory over the last 2-3 years, and kind of getting into the topic of today's kind of conversation, and that one thing that changed everything for you. What is that? What has that been?
Sure. So it was a little over 2 years ago. It was right when COVID was kind of, I guess I'll start back into when I was getting into real estate. So I've always been a high achiever. I've always been very successful in my real estate business, whether that was like going forward with leadership at the association level, was the president of our local association. And so I was always very involved at the state level, national level, which led me to start going to conferences. And then I started getting a coach, which also led me to conferences. So I did have a time where I fell into that conference culture that we have at real estate conferences. And if anyone's been to them, you know how it can be. It's super easy. You're out of town. You might have an appointment a little later the next day or a class a little later, and you can end up falling into the kind of the partying aspect of that. And I definitely, when I was in my 20s, I definitely did participate in that because that's just where I guess the crowd I kind of fell into. And over the years, obviously, I had a child and things change in life. But with COVID, I started to notice like we had hit kind of this level in our business and in our lives, and like my fitness wise and things like that. Like in my 20s, I could run marathons and do whatever, but 30s are a whole different ballgame. So I realized we were kind of plateauing. Things were great, like life was great. We had a baby, we were opening an office, but it just wasn't feeling right internally. And I started to look at my behaviors. And when COVID started, it just became a lot easier to drink at home, which what it is, right? Like we were all at home. And so my drinking habits, I started to notice were earlier and more frequent. And it didn't really cause too much chaos in my life at home, but I was noticing that internally it really wasn't allowing me to grow, right? And like to really dig deep and to move forward, because I was using the alcohol to kind of turn off whatever stresses were going on with COVID, with our business, with everything that came during that time.
Absolutely.
And I just reflected on my relationship with alcohol in general. And honestly, it wasn't a healthy one. And, I made a choice after a wedding, which I joke around about that, our Irish family had a wedding, which was just an excuse to drink for 3 days, right? And so after that, again, like nothing crazy dramatic happened, which I think like that comes in. I'll share the importance of that later. But I was like, I'm done. I needed a break. I'm just going to not do any of it. It really wasn't a plan for forever. It was just a plan for right now to help take it to the next level. And, I ended up a couple weeks later breaking that streak or not streak, breaking my promise to myself to not drink. And I ended up going through an experience that was one of the worst in my life. And, it was something that my husband and I both, like, it completely rocked our whole worlds. We had to stop everything. And at that time, I just knew that if I picked up a drink of alcohol, it wasn't going to end well, right? Like either I wasn't going to stop, or the pain I was feeling was so intense, I knew that it wouldn't be helpful for me to cope with alcohol. So by removing that alcohol, I really had to look inside and focus on my recovery, and recovery from that incident, recovering from being in an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And so for the last, I guess, like year and a half, that is where my focus has been. And it had to be, because of what happened, it had to come first. So my recovery had to come first, because if I didn't have that, I had nothing else. And so for me, it was the alcohol, but for anybody, like we have different coping skills, right? Like sometimes it might be work. Sometimes it might be exercise. Sometimes it might be food. Sometimes it might be alcohol or drugs. It could be a gamut of things. But for me, it was just reflecting back and looking at that behavior and seeing how removing it, I could, elevate my life, I guess, for lack of a word. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, I'm just gonna not drink. And I had no idea. When I was, I hit my 1 year mark, I was like, being sober is so cool, but feeling your feelings 24/7 for a whole year, not as fun, right? But because of going through all that, I've been able to just, for me, live a higher quality of life, I guess, is for lack of, I guess that's just what it is. It's matter of fact, it is a higher quality of life where I get to be more present with my child. I get to be more present with my husband. We have clearer boundaries because there's nothing, well, of course my husband and I work together, so things do get blurred, but we are able to now see when that's happening. Whereas before it would be like, at home, we would be negotiating between each other during the day, and it would come home with us. And now we have more firm boundaries. I'm able to like put myself first and what makes me happy and take care of myself. And I think that that's something that as real estate agents and for females as mothers falls to the wayside, right? Like we're constantly putting our customers first. We're putting their needs, the deal, everything, our agents, our families in front of us. And that's when I started to put myself first. That's when I really started to notice how much better I could show up for others. And when I was able to show up and be a stronger leader for my team, I noticed changes in them. And when I was able to show up as a better business partner for my husband in business, I noticed changes in our business. And when I started to show up differently as a wife, our marriage got better, and insert any role that I had, right? And so just the clarity that came from giving up that one thing has changed absolutely everything. And a byproduct of that is our income went up. And it's funny because I think initially when I was like, I need to figure something out here. What's going on with me? Why am I not doing the things I need to do? And alcohol was that thing. My initial, meter I was like comparing it was like my income. Our income hasn't changed. And now our income did change, but that is like the last thing that's on my list of, things I'm grateful that have changed in my life because of that. So
Yeah. It's, what will get us to a certain point in our life, there has to be sacrifices to be able to go to the next. And just like you had said, maybe it's not alcohol for somebody else. Maybe it's food, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's whatever.
Yeah.
And so being able to really look at that, assess it, and, am I willing to make that sacrifice to take my life to the next level? And most people just aren't willing to make that sacrifice. And
Yeah.
so some people are. Do you feel it taking like a life altering experience to kind of shake you at your core? Do you believe people can find that without a life shattering or a life altering experience to be able to make that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one thing that needs to occur, but I think it's the number one thing for humans to do, is to be honest with yourself. And it's so hard because we could justify anything in our brains, right? As to why we don't get up. I need more sleep. The sleep's more important than the workout, so we can justify all of the stuff, but to get really, really honest with yourself in your core and to know like, this is not moving me forward. And it's fine. Like I don't judge anybody's habits, but it's just acknowledging, where do you want to be? And are your actions matching that goal, that trajectory that you want to be on with your life?
Yeah.
And no, it's not fun, but like anything, right? Like I'm sure 16 miles, I've done that before. That doesn't always sound fun, right? Like maybe mile 10, you're like, and I still have 6 more. But like at the end, I bet you feel so good and you have that, all of that good that comes from it. So it's like, which discomfort do you want? Do you want the discomfort of never trying? Or do you want the discomfort of pushing through, failing, learning to get to that next area of your life? So it's just, just like choose your heart.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to back to kind of what you had said. It's like, what type of life do you want to live? And looking at, your current behaviors and your current habits, do they equal the size of the life that you're wanting to? And most people are cool with it. They're content, they're happy, and that's okay. That's their definition of world-class life for them. And you just have to make sure whatever size of life you want to build, that your habits are in alignment to it. And so that even comes back to the business.
Yeah.
So back for you guys on the business side of things, what has allowed, now seeing, being able to work through making a tremendous sacrifice, making a decision to cut off and move forward. And you said, the business has grown, but what behaviors or what activities has changed to allow the business to be where it's at in the trajectory it's on?
Sure. So just, I guess, quantifying like my daily activities, right? So now I know when I redid everything, my schedule, everything in my schedule came in reverse order than it used to. So before, I guess I'll use before EXP because it was essentially all before EXP. My life used to be work first. So my son was the first one dropped off. Some days the last one picked up because work was what I needed to do. There was never date nights. There was never anything like that. So now I reverse engineered my calendar to have time with my husband, time with my son. And those are non-negotiables. And then of course, like my time for me, yoga, meditating, that's been a huge part of my recovery and just clearing my mind to be able to better focus during the day. It's telling myself positive affirmations daily, every single day, over and over again, right? Because we are constantly giving ourselves affirmations. No matter what you're telling yourself, whether it's God, you're so stupid, you should have woke up to your fourth alarm, right? Like that's an affirmation. You're affirming that negative message. So affirmations have been huge. Prioritizing time for myself, for my son, for my husband has been huge outside of work. Honestly, we have a couples therapist that is literally the best thing we've done for our business. And I think it's so funny because we did not plan on, that. We knew that it would help us work together, but we thought it was going to help us be better at home by that it definitely works the other way. So our business is so much smoother. We stay in our own lanes now, whereas before we were kind of like, all right, before it was me micromanaging everything he did. But I think just like the trust that has been built through overcoming that situation and just getting honest with ourselves, where we want to go and what we want to do, has really changed our whole business. So.
Yeah, it is. And I believe, for our businesses to be better, we have to be better. And what one of the key things to be thinking about, and you even look at, there's three happiness buckets of health, wealth, and relationships. And you look at, okay, how many of you guys listening into this have, taken your fitness serious, and then you hire a trainer, you hire a nutritionist to help you to get your health dialed in. You have a business coach, you have a coach that's helping you grow your business. And then you look at the relationship side of things. How many of you have a coach for your relationships, a coach for you to help you? And that's one of the things where I see a lot of people, they'll make the investments on the fitness, they'll make the investments on the business, but they won't make the investments on themselves. And the business gets better when you get better.
100%.
And
right.
So
we called him for a while our marriage coach, because we have like coaches, like you said, we have coaches for everything. So we're like, his name's Dennis. We're like, Dennis, you're our marriage coach, just so you know, you've elevated your status. But I'm telling you, like, it is. We look forward to it every week, and it became a place where we could come together and set up, positive communication zones during our week for our business. So like every Sunday we have a meeting for our business, and we weren't doing that like to look at the whole week and figure out, who's taking the baby this day, what is a day that we need, just getting organized. And that's been a game changer. And really also another thing we do, which is super helpful for our business, is we share 7 positive things a day that the other one has done to help us. So like Brady, for example, is out showing a house. I had a customer who wants to write an offer and they want to see the house one more time. And I'm here, obviously. So I'm like, hey, can you do that? So today, when I go over the positives, like that'll be on there. And, obviously we tell a person that we're grateful for them, but having that special time to really like build each other up has just built this positive environment for us to work in. And everyone knows when you're happy you're at work, you're more productive at work. It comes through on your calls, it comes through on your customer service. And so like that looking at self has really changed everything for us.
It changes everything. And definitely something super passionate about everything that you're talking about here. And I love the acknowledgments. One of the exercises that I do on a daily basis, and I got this from our good friend Ryan Stewman, is that I have on my alarm on my goes off at 9:45 every day, and it says wins. And inside of my notes on my phone, I just go in and I just write down all of the wins for the day. And you read the gap in the gain, and so being able to you know have awareness that we're winning every day. But I love what you're talking about, in that you're not only your wins, but person that's closest to you, you're acknowledging to them how you appreciate them, and how they helped you win each and every day. That's a fantastic practice and habit to get into.
Well, and it goes for like there was a study on relationships, and it actually started from a study with toddlers, and it's a seven, it's like 5 to 10, but seven's that tends to be that happy number, 7 to 1 for every negative interaction or question you ask a toddler. Because when you question a toddler, they perceive that as negative. You have to have about seven positive in encounters, engagements, whatever, to overcome that one negative one. So it's the basis in a lot of relationships, that's 7 to 1. So that's where we came from on it, that there's actually like science behind that too. So
No, that's awesome.
it's cool. And yeah, The Gap in the Gain, that book, I'm going to just plug it. And thank you for introducing that book. Is honestly, it's another one that really changed my life. And celebrating wins is something else that we've implemented into our business. I have a win a day list that I do every single day on my to-do list. I pick the top 3 that are in my needle moving activities that non-negotiable have to be done at the end of the day, no matter what happens. And I put them on Post-its right on my desk, super bright, see them every day. And then once they're done, I have a poster board or a cork board that I put them on. And I look at the end of the week, I'm like, I won so much. I'm sure it's the same with your notes. You're like, holy crap, this week, there were a lot of big wins, even if it's not, because a lot of times I think we get caught up with, we have to get contracts, we have to get a new agent, a new brokerage, whatever, insert whatever large goal you have. But celebrating those little steps along the way are how to climb that mountain, right?
Yeah.
And my coach, John Sheplack, he taught us tiny hinges swing big doors. So at my office, that in our building, I have a little tiny hinge sitting right on the front of my desk to remember that no matter how small that activity is that moves the needle, it's still moving your needle forward. And even if you get those, we can work 24/7, 365, never get everything done. So having those wins in like those 3 needle moving activities have been a game changer.
And I want to kind of emphasize what you're saying, because I think this is important for people to pick up on. The little visual cues are so important. Like that little hinge, everywhere you see it now, your reticular activator's fired, so now you're looking for little hinges everywhere that are going to open big doors for you. I love what you're doing with the Post-its, and then you're taking the Post-its and you're putting it on a visual to where you can see it, like you visually see, like, shit, I am getting things done. Because I promise you, in any part of our day, in any equity of our life, we're going to feel like we're not succeeding. We're going to feel like a failure. And we have to have those visual cues as a reminder to that, what? Of course I'm winning every day. And it allows us to maintain confidence. And I love Tim Grover. He's like, there's only one thing different between arrogance and confidence. There's only one thing, and that confident people win. Arrogant people just talk. And so it's all about building confidence so we can continue to build momentum to keep taking commitments to keep moving forward. And everything that you've shared are just perfect little exercises on a daily basis, a daily discipline to help us maintain confidence and continue to make progress moving forward.
Yeah, well, and it's so funny how this life of recovery has so paralleled everything, right? Like by putting all those things first that make me whole have allowed for me to show up better in my business. And like you said earlier, you know, whether when you start working on your health and fitness too, like you're going to notice changes in your business. And you know, mental health is a part of our whole holistic approach, spiritual, you know, so taking the time to build those connections with yourself, with, you know, a higher power, that's really been something that's been helpful for us. So
Yeah, it is. It's so important. And I
but
like
also
to,
we let go of the balance myth too, you know, like everyone's like, oh, balance, we need to have balance. And Brady and I the other day were just like, it's harmony, you know?
I love that.
And yeah, so the definition, I'm going to just look it up really quick because I love it so much. I looked it up and it was the combination of simultaneously sounding musical notes to produce short chords and chord progressions that having a pleasing effect. And I
Mm,
loved that because it's like this ebb and flow of, you know, our business chord with our, you know, social life chord with our health and well-being chord all flowing together to create a pleasing effect. Because that's all we need, right? We don't need these like celebratory, grandiose days. It's not like Christmas every day. So it's just
yeah.
getting to like where you can wake up every day and it's hard. Man, life is so hard, right? It's so hard. But if you could find a way to enjoy while you're going through it, and you know, some days like I know I have to work late, and so I make sure that Elijah and I get up early and we go to the beach on the way to school and just take that time. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 30 minutes. That's super high quality, no distraction time, doing something I know he loves and we love to do together. And then, you know, that night I might not get to see him until he's ready for bed. So that's not balance, right? That's not an equal time. But what it is him knowing that I get to spend that time with him and I took that special time out of my day and he feels valued. It pours into both of our relationship equity accounts. And, you know, I could still feel like I'm being a great mom while also serving my clients at a higher level because I took that time for him in the morning. So I'm not feeling guilty while I'm at that appointment, you know?
Yeah, that's so amazing. And we look at the way I like to look at balance is just being present wherever you're at. And so with staying in like what you're saying, staying in harmony, and you're at the beach, you're at the beach, you're with your clients, you're with your clients because you are making those deposits into, you know, to each other at that time, that it allows you to be more present. And
Yeah.
to me, that really is balance, but doing it in harmony. I love how that kind of is tied together. So that is really powerful.
Well, my
Back on,
hippie's gonna come out too, because like I think that being present, such like oh, but being present is literally the key to happiness for me. Is just being where I'm at, and like, you know, when things are super stressful with a deal falling apart, I don't rise or fall with the emotion of my customer because I'm just like, okay, we're here now. I hear your concern, but let's figure out how to fix it and move forward. Because you can't worry about what you can't control, and you can't be in any moment except for the one you're in now. So you might as well, you know, be fully there.
yeah, that's so good. So it's more really kind of what I'm hearing, and I'd love for you to kind of talk about this, but really focusing on the things that are within your control, and really letting go of everything that's not. So for you, and you look at either in the relationship, fitness, you know, there's certain things like what are the key things, and then even for your business right now to help your business grow, like what are the handful of things that you focus on daily that are within your control that you know is moving your life and your business forward?
Sure. So that has I joke around when, you know, we're talking about recovery. I'm like, no, I'm a recovering control freak. Because that's really what it was, right? Like I had to have control all the time. So that's where I, you know, turn to alcohol to not have control sometimes, right? So the control aspect of like remembering what I can control is huge for me. And I guess it's just oh, we might have a visitor. Oh, oh, okay. Hi. What do you need?
Coming in hot.
Oh, we got hold on 1 second. Okay, go ahead. Go on. I'm
Uh,
okay. Sorry, John.
No,
Real
that's
life
awesome.
here, everybody.
Real life, real
Real
life.
life
It's
working
awesome.
mom style. Do you want to come say hello?
Say
Okay.
hi to everybody.
No, my hands are very hard to take.
I know. So we just splashed in the water. Can you say hi, everybody? Say hi, John.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
And I saw some dirt sound.
Oh, good. Okay, go ahead back
Yeah.
up there in your water table. So, but yeah, this is like literally everything in my life is around this, you know, and
That's awesome.
that's my light. So go ahead. So this is a prime example that the old Megan would have been like, oh gosh, she's coming in. Okay, John, hold on. You know, I would have freaked out internally, been so embarrassed. The rest of this call would have been me being upset that he came in.
Yeah.
I can control him. I love him. I'm sure everyone who got to see his curly little blonde hair loves that too. So
That's right.
you know, this is real life. But yeah, so controlling the controllables, things that I control are my time with Elijah. That is my number one on my schedule. I make sure that I have my time set up with him because it, like I said, it allows for me to be a better agent when I'm being an agent. I control my win the day list. I know what activities I need to take to move the needle to where I want to go. And now, of course, do things come in throughout the day to distract from that? Absolutely. But that's
Sure.
why I keep those Post-its there, because I can control the fact that I can see them. I can control the fact that before I close my eyes at night, those things can be done. I've also taken my numbers down, which is, I guess, controlling what my expectations for myself are. So I used to want to call like 25 agents a day to talk about agent attraction and recruiting and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like 5. I have 5 in their conversations. So I talk to 5 agents a day, and it could be about joining EXP. It could be just, hey, do you want to get coffee? It could be, how are you? I haven't talked to you since we worked that deal together. How's your customer? You know, whatever. And so I guess reducing the expectations have helped me because it allows for me to collect more wins. So, and then I do 5 customer calls a day too. And now if I had it where it was at, let's say 20 or 25, and I kept getting voice messages, right? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm not doing it for 3 hours. Then when I finally get a hold of someone, I'm gonna be like, hey, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm on, okay, I get to do 5 today, that's also the other thing. I get to call 5 agents. And let's say I have 5 great ones in a row. I'm going to keep going. You know, I'm in a positive mood. It's coming out. So just controlling those expectations for self and setting myself up for success. I'm constantly saying out loud, this is something future Megan's going to thank me for. And Brady always laughs. But like setting coffee out the night before, I can't control how the morning's going to go with the 3-year-old, right? But I can control that my coffee is made when my alarm goes off. You know, I can control the exercise that I do before he comes in like a tornado. So yeah, those kind of things.
That's awesome. When you guys look at on the business side of things, are there certain aspects, certain measurements that you know, it's like, hey, we know we need to do this. So I love that on you know, the organizational growth. Hey, five agent conversations a day. Are there things within the business that you look at that you're responsible for? Then you look at Brady, and then you look at, you know, any of the other, you know, team organization that we have. Are there certain numbers that everybody's kind of focused on to be able to know, hey, this is within my control. This is what I have to commit to today.
Yeah. So are you asking for the specific numbers or the activities?
What are the activities?
Sure. So Brady's goal this year is to sell 100 houses, and we are on track for that, which is super exciting because
That's exciting.
my limiting belief was like, you crazy? But here we are. And yeah, so I am more the marketing director and focused on agent success and agent support. And so all of my daily activities focus on how can I get our message out? How can I get in front of more people, whether that be social media or community events. And because I'm the face of the brand, but Brady is all the integrator of it. So all of my roles revolve around brand recognition, just being involved in the community and things like that. Brady is the team leader, and he does he focuses on all the real estate transactions. I'm really doing 2 to 3 a month right now. That's all I want to do so that I can have my focus where it needs to be. But also, I think it's important to me to still be involved in the transaction so that I can better help with my, knowing what's going on with the market and the agents in my office.
Yeah, no, that's it's a great point, and I'm glad you kind of broke that apart because we all have different functions and different roles within the organization, so therefore we have different things we're kind of accountable to, numbers that we're accountable to. We have company accountable numbers, but we also have individual, and I think that's super super important to understand. But you also have to come back to, is it within my control?
Mm-hmm.
And too many agents, too many people I see, they focus on numbers and things outside of their control, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
focused on the transaction instead of, well, what is the activity that drives the transaction? So it's really, I'm glad the way you shared that and broke that up. And
yeah, it's
where
also about what we're good at too. So that was another huge thing that we've developed over the last 2 years, is like, what is acknowledging each other's strengths. We did that at Coach Bert's Couples Living with a Honey Badger, went through our talents and recognized each other's talents too, what we thought of each other's talents were. And that was a huge success, I guess, for us to realize, like, oh, it's not that for my ego, right? Because we're in an ego business sometimes. It's not that I can't do a market analysis. It's just that Brady's is going to be 10 times more thorough. He could do it in a third of the time that it would take me. And so that became his skill. And that's what he does if we ever need a market analysis. If there's a video that needs to get put together, it's going to probably be me because I'm comfortable. I can come up with a script and it's easy. And so it doesn't mean Brady's bad at it. It just means, like, that is an area that I should be focusing on. And it's something that, I do well. And so really prioritizing the money-making activities for each of us and what do we like to do? Because ultimately, like, if I'm doing something, I can make money anyway, right? Like, all of us, we're all very skilled humans, like leaders in the Honey Badger Nation. And I can make money doing anything, but if I can't enjoy it, then what is the point?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
have you and Brady taken the Colby?
No.
You guys have to take this.
Okay.
So any business partners, any husband and wife working together in business, take the Kolbe, KOLBE.com, take the Kolbe A, and then have them do the side-by-side comparison of the two. And you're going to spend maybe $100 to get all three, but it is so worth it. Whereas you look at like a DISC profile, a DISC assessment. To me, the DISC assessment is just more of an energy management. What I mean by that is when I see somebody that's a DI type personality, I know that they're going to be, they're going to get right to the point. They're going to be outgoing. They're going to have that type of personality. So doing those type of activities are not going to drain them.
Yeah.
And it's like what you said, anybody can do anything. And it's where can we stay in an energy zone to where it's sustainable? Could a high D personality go over and do the financials and do taxes and do I's dotted and T's crossed? They can, but it'll drive them crazy. It'll drive them crazy. And they'll go home at the end of the day exhausted. And vice versa. If you take a high C personality, CS type personality, and you put them on stage or you put them in a conversation like this or in a room full of people, can they do it? Absolutely, they can do it. They can probably crush it. But what's going to happen at the end of the day when they're done? They're going to be exhausted. That's what the DISC tells me. what the Colby will tell us is how we take action, how we make decisions. And now you get to understand each other in a way to know, hey, I can't put a deadline on this person. I have to let them come up with the deadline, because if I force the deadline on them, it's not going to get them to take action. And so it's just a fantastic assessment of how we do and get things done. And it just helps us become better. And it's an awesome test.
Cool. Yeah, I took a bunch of notes there. That was my
Yeah,
note taking.
you'll love it.
Take that. Well, and it's funny though, because we've been, becoming more immersed in the disc, because it is so true for us. Like, I'm a high D, high I, he's high S, high C. How we get along in life and like regular life versus even how we get along, how we do business together. I have no idea how we're still married, but it is something that we do now. It's really interesting because we do use that now where, like, I'm very just with like, hey, I need this done. I have to do this and this. And I don't mean it like in a direct, like a mean way. I'm just like, A, B,
Yeah.
C, D, here you go. Bye. See you later.
Yeah.
And for a while he'd be like, what? And then I would be wondering why he was communicating away with me. Like, is he mad at me? Like, cause I'm a high I. So I'm like, why is he just like sending me a spreadsheet? Like, he didn't put a smiley face in the spreadsheet, And so
Yeah.
now that we understand each other's, profiles, and we've actually dove in and done, like, we bought the, you get the free disc, but then you can buy the like digging deeper.
Breaks it down. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is, if you're listening to this and you have not done that, I highly suggest it be any personality assessment, because it really does it's helped me better communicate with customers when I can see them going up, and I can be like, okay, this person's a, S or an I, this is what they're going to need for me to do to help get us back on a level playing field. It's been super, super beneficial. So I'm excited about this Colby, to learn how I take action.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be really good. It'll help, how we communicate with each other, and, really allow us to be, like you said, more in harmony, working together in a way to where we're working in doing things that we love, and what we're really, really good at. And, it's another one of those things that, as we continue to get better, to be able to really.
Well, when we prioritize that stuff, like oops, sorry. Did I lose you?
No, I'm there. I got you.
I was just say, when we prioritize like the things, like you said, it's protecting your energy. And it all comes down to, how do you feel, right? Like, you can only show up as good as you feel. And when you're protecting your energy and doing things that fill you up with energy, because there's also the things we don't want to do, right? Like, I still have to do market analysis, even though they're not my jam. But when I do that, it makes it a whole lot easier to do, that 1 or 2 times versus more, when I'm able to focus on, hey, you know what I love? I love sending video texts. I really do. I don't know why I love sending them out. So if I do that and pour into myself and others with that, then I'm going to have an easier time doing that analysis without getting so drained. So,
Yeah.
And prioritizing the money-making activities allows for you to make more money. So That's really been the nugget, I guess, of this last couple of years, like figuring out, what do I love to do? What actually is bringing in the income versus staying busy to stay busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can work smarter, more efficiently, and get out of the office or wherever I'm working to spend time doing the things that really do bring me joy, like hang out with my son and go to the beach.
Yeah, that's so good. I think that's perfect. And Megan, I, one, appreciate you getting in and being completely vulnerable with all of us in the Honey Badger Nation, and, true expert mentor style, just adding a ton of value and pouring back in. So I can't thank you enough. And, somebody listening in that wants to be able to connect and maybe go a little bit deeper, kind of with your journey, and maybe that they, need a little help to get on their own path. What's the best way to connect with you?
Sure. So all of my social media handles are my name, Megan Farrell-Nelson. So it's just Instagram at Megan Farrell-Nelson. Facebook's the same thing. So find me on social if you want to call or text. It's 386-597-3545. But yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of on all those platforms, or you could just text me.
Just text you. Awesome. Megan, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Again, it was
John.
fantastic. And make sure you guys give Megan lots of love. Reach out to her, connect, and we'll catch you guys all in the next episode. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.